You're listening to the Win Moon Podcast,
sponsored by Alpha Dow.
Join us every week to listen to up-to-date news on the markets, macro, and the best degenerate stories you can't find anywhere else. Nothing on this show should be taken as financial advice. The opinions spoken here from the hosts and guests are our own personal opinions and should not be taken as financial advice. Now, let's get to the hosts, Clay and Taryn, and get this party started.
Welcome, everybody, to the 5th episode of the Win Moon Podcast. We have a legend on today, Mr. Bryan Micon. Micon, what's going on, buddy?
It's too kind. Thank you very much. Glad to be on the Win Moon Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for giving us your time. Let's go ahead and jump right in, man. We both used to live in Vegas. We actually were just talking. We actually played in an old poker tournament together. Yeah, you're definitely a legend in the poker scene here in Vegas, from your epic 2006 Thriller dance that got you on ESPN, deep run in the main event 2006. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about you growing up. You grew up in Indiana and then went to college there, I believe. What were you studying?
The Win Moon Podcast wants it all. They want it from the beginning. That's fair. That's great. IU, 96 to 2000. Indiana University, Bloomington, Indiana. Hoosiers. Studied computer information systems on paper. In actuality, studied, minor marijuana cultivation and sales and the full range of degen activities, I would say, were the main focus of my time. I definitely optimized for fun for many years. Found poker, found casinos, found poker, found stocks, found IPOs. I mean, that was, to me, the college education that I remember.
Yeah, for sure. You're actually, well, obviously you know this, but you used to be kind of labeled the king of all degenerates, I remember.
King of all degenerates.
King of all degenerates.
Branding.
So you were gambling way back in the day already, doing like the .com boom and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started? Did you actually come out ahead after the crash and everything like that?
Yeah, it's great. No, the short answer, no, did not come out ahead. Definitely one of the times I busted there. The kid named Scott Silvers, shout out. I think he's a lawyer now, and seem to call Silvers. But he's in the university. There's maybe 4 or 5 of us that were just all kind of hardcore degens. Still friends with most of them. Actually, 4 of the 5 except Silver. Actually, I gotta call Silvers. But anyway, the point is that there was a group of us that most of us still friends to this day that were firing on stock market. And this is 1996, and E-Trade is not a known thing. People don't trust an online brokerage yet. But me and the boys are, of course, when you're 18, 19 or so, and you find your first 2,000, you are very happy to just fire that thing onto the internet, onto the early internet, and try to get some IPOs, try to get some Priceline.com IPOs and some try to trade Yahoo options, not knowing what the hell you're doing really, except that the money is going to quickly go away or multiply. And that, I would say, is the first taste. I think that was like the first real taste. Poker is found very quickly there at the old Caesars, Indiana, down near Louisville, New Albany, Indiana, I believe. And just that place just opened up, and then there's all of a sudden a poker game, and you got fake IDs and a little bit of stock market money, and away you go.
Yeah,
Rounders
nice.
Comes out. You can't get out. You can't get away from it.
Yeah, Rounders, big boom. I moved to Vegas 2005 after the big moneymaker win in 2003. So, yeah, let's see. You had a little bit of success with poker. 2006 was kind of the Micon breakout tournament year, I guess.
Sure.
You made a final table or almost made a final table for like $75K.
2 World Series final tables under my belt here.
Oh, nice.
Just 2. Yeah. Almost a third online just a couple weeks ago, but also a near miss. But yeah, I mean, I ran it up online. I quit a job. I had a job type job. And I just would make enough on the weekend. It got to 204, 04, 05-ish. I would make enough on the weekend that I would, make the whole year to 4 years salary that I was making at the job. It was like, eventually it was like, I was like, all right, let me see if I can save up some of it. Obviously you're going to put some back in tournaments. And I just decided, okay, if I can save up to a number, I think my number was 50K, 40K or 50K, I think was my 26-year-old, 24-year-old, 5-year-old me's. Okay, if I can just see 50K all in one place, or 40K, or I remember it might have been like 32. I don't even remember. I was like, okay, then I can make it. Then I could pop off these $50 and $100 tournaments. And at that time, poker was so juicy online. It was so good. Everybody was awful. The main strategy was basically play tight. Don't fuck it off with. You'll get it in with top pair, guys. You'll get it in three-handed. If you need to. Just you won't be able to get them to fold. And it was great. It was a great time. Ran it up. Went out to the series 06. Won all my seats on PokerStars. So I just went out there essentially on like a $35,000 free roll. Still had my little $35,000 bankroll, but now I'd really grinded hard at the beginning of the year to get a bunch of seats, and it was kind of a tough 3 weeks. It was the first time really in Vegas for that long, and it was like kind of brick, bink 75K, and then 2 weeks later on TV main event, win 120,000, do a thriller dance.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers. And that's a 17-year-old dance, or that was 16 years ago.
Crazy how fast time flies by.
I got a 9-year-old. I mean, like, it's
Yeah.
nuts. Yeah, and that the poker forum, I made the poker forums back in the day, and did a podcast. We didn't call it a podcast, we called it a radio show back then.
Yeah.
The podcast wasn't really a thing yet. Did the poker gossip, did the poker thing. I mean, it was fun. I never really made as much money as a lot of my friends did. I never printed millions. I printed like an average, like I printed like an electrical contractor kind of salary by running around playing poker. But but very much optimized for fun. And wife and I are eating good food all the time on comps and stuff. And it's not a terrible life, but it wasn't like it didn't make me rich or anything, but I wasn't, I was really hell-bent after college on not becoming a corporate drone, just not becoming one of these people that are just trapped, that are just like Monday through Friday, they wake up before they want to get out of bed and they just go somewhere they don't want to go, and then they make not quite enough money to make it worth it, but they're stuck. And I saw this happen. You see this everywhere. It's almost the default condition of most humans, really across the world. It is just about the default condition. And I remember from a very young age looking at this and saying, might be rich, might be poor, might be dead, but I am not going to do that. I will not be one of those people. And I knew that from a very, very early age. And so if poker allowed me to just do whatever I wanted, to sleep till whenever I wanted, to hang out with my girl, to that's what I wanted to do. So I didn't really, I wish it would have been better. It would have been a way better story if I had made a few million doing it like a lot of my friends did. Because then when Bitcoin hit, I would have been locked and loaded instead of essentially, not broke, but, just sort of bouncing along right close to zero. Never negative, but, never super positive. Maybe put 60, 70 together. But never 700K though. Never could get that all in one place playing poker.
Yeah, for sure. You kind of, man, what you were talking about really hits home, because when I was out there, I moved out to Vegas right when I was 21, started dealing poker, MGM, and after a few years, I started doing the math on like how much I was raking for the casino, how much I was making them, and they're paying me minimum wage and what I'm making. And same type of thing. I was just like, this just can't be it. I can't do this forever. I don't want to work this fucking corporate job anymore. So I was very fortunate, ran into Bitcoin, things worked out from there. But yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned all the rat race type stuff. I actually just purchased a website I'm about to start called fucktheratrace.net. So yeah, and that's the one thing. I feel like people are just too conditioned to, whether they come out of high school, come out of college, they go work for someone for 40 something years, they're barely barely scraping by. They don't have a lot in savings. They finally retire at 65 and they're dead in 5 or 10 years. And I don't know, man, that's just, I don't know
It's
if that's
not.
the way that, I don't know if that's the way that we've just been conditioned by the entire world. But like, to me, just like you said, like, this just can't be it. That's just doesn't seem like a life to
Uh,
me.
I don't think I don't think it's bad if somebody swings and misses, because if you don't, then you already know the outcome. So I mean, if you and also like you swing and miss, you go swing again. I mean, like there's just a mentality that I think some people are born with. Some people develop it over time. Some people are, it's a parent that drills it into them. And I think that there's more people waking up to it. I think COVID, work from home, people sort of managing their own time a little bit more self-ownership, just accidental, potentially accidentally. But I think that it is trending more towards uh, not doing that. Now it's a long tail though. It's not gonna be anytime soon where that sort of mentality is not the prevailing, way, that it's not the default position of most of them. But all the people in poker were essentially rejecting it. The people in early crypto were essentially there for the same thing. We're a full rejection of what the norm was. In this case, the financial landscape. A full rejection, I think, was, and that's why they mix so well. Poker, Bitcoin, poker, crypto,
Right.
a lot of crossover, a lot of cross to traditional finance too. There was even poker to traditional finance before there was Bitcoin. That was, I think it was the Cantor Fitzgeralds. There were some other big firms out there that strongly promoted poker because of the skills and the is the guy lying to me, sort of businessy. There's a little thing of business. There's a little bit of business in poker. There's some of
Right.
the same muscles are stretched.
Right, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I love it, man. I love the story.
Sure.
So can you kind of tell us like going back to poker, you were considered like the chairman of like Seals with Clubs. Can you kind of explain to the viewers what Seals with Clubs was? How did that come about?
It's a hell of a ride, and buckle up. Seals with Clubs was the first like legitimate Bitcoin online poker site. It was the first like one that people really started to pile into. There were a couple others before, but this one was done really well. And chairman was a marketing piece only. And unfortunately, I am a great marketer. I am amazing at it, it turns out. So much so that the Attorney General of Nevada at the time gave me a special shout out in a special show just for me one day. That's how good of a marketer I was. And so I ran a poker forum for many years, and then some guy hits me up one day and says, "Hey, let me buy some ad space." I'm sorry, I believe I reached out there. I think I started reading about Bitcoin in 2011, and then the only thing I know really is poker at that time. And so I immediately looked for poker. Oh, okay, there's like two bad ones and a good one. Okay, reach out to the good one. Hey, I got a poker forum. Let's hook up. Let's start doing something. And that's where it started from. And it started from Bitcoin's a dollar. There's 30 people on the site, and then I guess flash forward. This is 2011 or 12, maybe beginning 12, somewhere early. And then flash forward 2015. There's a 2014 World Series. I'm wearing an obnoxious green velour Seals with Clubs jumpsuit, and it's fresh as fuck too. It was too good. It was too much. And then just like I mean like just like crispy everything, head to toe, and just repping it hard. And I used to go around giving out full Bitcoins when they were between $1 and $5, $10, saying, "Hey, try this out," and then it would become 0.25, and we have these little codes we give them out to people. And so I was a lot of people in Vegas, and then especially in the poker community, 2011, 12, 13, 14. I was a lot of people's introduction to Bitcoin. So I'm screaming it to the hilltops. I guess we talked a little earlier. We both lean a little bit libertarian, just in the mindset. And so I'm at poker tables all the time. I'm playing the World Series every year. I'm occasional poker media coverage kind of thing. And I just told everybody. Told everybody when I'm playing live. Told everybody, on my little podcast thing. I just told everybody. Tweeted it in early Twitter times. Told friends, say, hey, you got to ape in. And this is not investment advice, but you might want to ape the fuck in here. And you don't want to miss some generational shit. And so, so that butterfly effect has led to a way overweight. Poker people are way overweight in crypto. Like they're just way overweight. Because however you found about it in 13, I wouldn't be surprised if you could trace that back to the dude that told you about it, to the dude that told him about it. And I wonder if you get back to me, because
Yeah.
it's shocking. And I mean, I'm a little bit of a narcissist too, so I love it. But when I go back to Vegas now, I went back, played the series in 2021, the not the last series, but the series that happened less than 12 months ago before that one. That's weird.
Right.
But that series, there was a lot of people I hadn't seen in about 5 years. And they see me and they're like, "Oh my God, like, oh, thank you so much." Or they hit me. It's like one of two ways. It's either that, it's either like, "Holy shit, yes." Bitcoin's like 50K at the time. They're like, "Yes." And then I wonder what kind of a reception I'd get today as I see it dip below 19.9. But and then the other there's a strong opposite of that reaction when someone sees me that I haven't seen in a while, that just goes, "Oh my God, why didn't I listen to
Should have
why didn't
listened.
I do it? I could have done it. I could have been set up. I could have had a house and a girlfriend. I could have had cars and watches and dripping and designer. And finally, then I'd be happy if I had a designer shoe. And finally, I'd be happy with myself." But it's great though. The butterfly effect has led to Timex owning a digital rock. I mean, this leads to just absolute insanity. And I mean, yeah, and it's good. It's great. I ran around, promoted it, yeah, and then the Attorney General announced a warrant for my arrest, and I hired David Chesnoff, best lawyer in Vegas.
Yep.
Just hands down. Look at the track record. No debates there. And had to burn up all my Bitcoin. And Roger Ver would come and save my life briefly. That was nice. He's done that for a lot of people. I know we'll get to him a little later, but doesn't say anything about it, doesn't promote it. But when he sees a little bit of injustice happening, then a guy with big resources often, it was very nice thing to do. And it would be I would get them all back. I'd make a shitcoin extractor and get them all back a year or two later, which is, so don't worry. The case settled. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, just pour it down back when Bitcoin was only like 300 or 500. Ouch. But yeah, and then run it back turbo with a shitcoin extractor in Antigua. I mean, it makes sense, right? It's the next logical step there. And funny story too. So being down bad after catching the case for Seals with Clubs, burning up all my money, and I was always going to move to Antigua. It's a lovely little country, and then it's the birthplace of online gambling in the 2000s, in the early 2000s, late 90s, and the country here, and there's a few other countries too that sort of are. There's a few places that I think might become Hong Kong, like how Hong Kong used to be, where it was like a financial center that was based around essentially like, somewhat libertarian ideology, in the sense that like we're going to allow things to run, like we're not going to make heavy-handed regulation. And there's very few places in the world that I think that could sprout up on, that really doesn't exist anywhere now. Maybe Seychelles, maybe like, there's some Cook Island stuff. There's like, you look, you can't ignore Curacao, Costa Rica. There's a lot of other places that it might happen. Even Estonia, like, looked for a little bit, but now they're kind of, in my opinion, going to be overregulated versus sort of letting the crypto run. But I think that there will be a Hong Kong, essentially, an old, that reference. I'm gonna have to get a new reference now, because after the recent handover, it's Hong Kong. I don't think is going to be Hong Kong anymore. But just a place that's like sort of free to do crypto stuff, sort of free to make a big exchange, to get a physical presence, to maybe even open something like a bank, like maybe something that kind of looks like a bank but really runs on all crypto. Maybe interacts with the Visa network, maybe not. Maybe you can trade some metals for some crypto, maybe physical metals, maybe physical cash, maybe just I think that the creativity is going to be is only limited by the regulation. And I think there will be a place that goes full crypto, that becomes the hotbed where you're really allowed to build organizations that really explore it and really try to utilize it to the fullest potential for remittance, for for relocating from, like, from a heavily taxed country or something, just for escaping political upheaval or whatever. Just I think that it'll exist, and I think Antigua has a great chance, and it's a beautiful Caribbean island nation, low crime. There's just very few places like it. And so I moved here, not much money in the pocket, but still, a couple of friends, and then couple, and just the idea to build crypto stuff out here, to build the beginning infrastructure. I think it's important. But then on that path, I started making frog pictures on the internet with a bunch of other stoners in 2017. Now, it doesn't make any sense in the history of the story. It really doesn't. But
Yeah.
but in actuality, if you're always playing with bleeding edge crypto stuff, then in 2016 to 17, it was the counterparty protocol, and it was, hey, let's mint assets. This didn't happen on Ethereum yet. I mean, it did, but it didn't. Not like how it does now, where people are still just playing with chains, saying, okay, how do we mint assets? We want things that are like trading cards. We want things that are like movie tickets. We want things that are like exchanges, like automated exchanges. AMMs didn't exist yet. People forget how far that we've come. Now you're just like, yeah, Uniswap it, fuck it. But like that, those are very new things. Those are just the last 3-4 years. And 17, it's a strange time. I'm down bad. Crypto's about to be down bad too for the next year or two. And when you're still hell bent on building, you don't have a lot of resources, you just start playing. Or at least that's what I do. You just start playing. And the playground, the fun time playground at the time was the Rare Pepe project in 17. And it was so weird because I was exploring. There was a deck. It was one of the first dexes too. And I'm like, how the hell do they have a dex? How the hell can you do it? And they're like, it's done on Bitcoin. I'm like, how could it be done on Bitcoin? And so I got all these questions that I got to answer. And so I got to play with it. And you find the Rare Pepe Telegram because you look at the chain at the time and it's just nothing but frogs. If you find it in 17, you're
Right.
like, oh, you're like, okay, you can mint assets, but and then okay, now people have the ability to mint assets, and I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what does the asset do? It doesn't do anything. You just made something up. Like, but you can pay a dividend to it. But who would do that, and why? Is it a share stock? Is the SEC going to knock down my door? All those kind of initial exploratory things that, like, now imagine if there was a good jurisdiction and you didn't have to think like, okay, am I going to get arrested if I try to explore and experiment with a brand new asset class? Like, that should
Right.
never enter a human's mind. They're like, oh, I'm going to play with something. Like, you're not trying to hurt anybody. You want to figure it out. But then as an American, you're often in the back of your head, you're kind of trained to be like, oh, if you play with that, if you experiment with that, somebody with guns might try to take a lot of your money or freedom with force. You're like, oh, well, fuck. Like, but anyway, all those kind of things are flying through my head, and I find the Rare Pepe Telegram, and the you're playing with the decks. You can see some things in there. I mean, as soon as I saw Rare Pepe Wallet for the first time, I was like, oh my God, I have to get in. I just have to get a card in the set. I just have to. I don't know, man. It's just like you remember back in like in like grade school, a bunch of people are sitting around the playground, they're kicking rocks. Everyone's trying to kick the rock closest to the wall. You're like, well, fuck. Now I want to turn. I want
Yeah,
to try to kick
absolutely.
the rock. And so I made a frog. So I made soda. I got soda Popinski. Soda Popinski. I made a soda Popinski.
Yeah.
That happens to be a physical, but that's a fucking that there. And due to Xer's magic, that is a fucking beauty. There's actually a private key, Xer.co. He does these like insane physicals where like you can see the little scratch off surface. There's a
Yeah.
private key under that has a real soda Popinski in it. So the XCP
Amazing.
asset exists in the physical slab that he's made. So this is not only a physical, it really has one in there.
Yeah,
And
that's amazing.
I'm going to announce on When Moon right now that me and Xer have hatched a plan. It is a 3-part plan. And we're going to make 3 modern art disasters out of my remaining Soda Popinski issuance. 888 of these little fuckers minted on the Counterparty blockchain 2017. We're going to put 21 of them in a table, in a physical table, 21 Soda Popinskis in a table, and we're going to sell that. Then there will be 69 Soda Popinskis, physical Soda Popinskis in a physical 69. Still a little fuzzy on that, but I'm going to bring it. We're gonna fucking bring that one over the finish line for sure. And then the Opus will be. This was probably 3 years off. Probably maybe a year in between each one of them. Maybe at Bitcoin Miami. Maybe Bitcoin Miami every year. Scarce City. I don't know. We'll see. But the Opus, the final, the Coup of Grace, is going to be 420 Soda Popinskis. 420 of them. So we got 21, then 69, and finally the 420 physical sodas. It'll be a massive display. There's going to be lights, maybe a fish. Will be like it could be a full functional fish tank. Also, we really don't know what's going to happen with the 420, but it's going to be a modern art disaster. It's going to be a fucking disaster. I mean, bad. It's going to be bad. And
Funny. Yeah, I definitely want to the Rare Pepe talk going just a little bit. Can you kind of tell us, like, what do you think the future of the Pepes will be? I do know that, a lot of things like NFTs that are popping off right now are these, these kind of PFP type things, the Pudgy Penguins and things like this. I kind of feel like the Pepes are still like only being collected by more like Bitcoin maxis, Bitcoin type people. I still don't really see the Pepes like popping off on like the Ethereum type crowd, except for obviously like the Nakamoto card or something like that. So how do we kind of get Pepes back into the massive mainstream? And then what do you think the future of the Pepes are?
I think that first of all, marketing Pepes, I mean, the marketing Rare Pepes as a whole, I don't know. I don't even do it. Skrilla does that. I think that's Rare Skrilla's department right there. But I mean, I'm the Rare Pepe dealer. I am also the artist of Soda Popinski. Like, I think my lane in this thing is to, one, wrap Pepes for ETH for sale on OpenSea. I have 100 plus Pepes for sale at any given time, all wrapped in emblem vaults so that the ETH guys, so it's searchable on OpenSea, so it's saleable on OpenSea, so it's tradable afterwards easily without having to interact with the DEX. Basically, I do the hard part for you, and then I serve it up on a platter. So if anybody really wants the asset, it's at OpenSea.io/Rare Pepe dealer. And the other part of my lane is the Rare Pepe gallery in Decentraland. And it's like, one, I had a bunch of Pepes. Two, I thought that they would go up in value. So I made a pretty high conviction play early last year to buy a bunch more Pepes, like 5 Nakamoto cards, and just a whole shit ton, so I could really fill that store and gallery. And so like the idea here was to like make a real gallery. To like, I by the way, the reason why I go down that I did this was not for money initially. I thought I would make money by doing it, or I thought it was a potential. There was some percentage chance that it could return money, and even an asymmetric return. But when I started looking through the set again, after sort of not seeing it for 3 years, 4 years, when NFTs started to kind of boom in early 2021, when it sort of became like fever pitch around CryptoPunks and Bored Apes, I guess, is about when I remember looking through the set and thinking like, wow, I got a whole bunch of these. Like, I wonder if these are up next. But also just like you're combing through 1,700 Pepes that like are a snapshot of blockchain and political and worldwide history and human history from 16 to 18. And so it took me down this like, it just takes you down like it's walk down memory lane. if you're in the space at that time. You got Polaniac's chat mod, Pepe's, just stuff that doesn't exist anymore. You have like, my good friend Roger Ver. They have the verified Pepe, and he's like making his Mount Gox gaff, and he's like, Gox is safe. And they're like, they Pepe, Gandhi, and Trump and Hillary. That election's happening, and it's dominating every news story that, and it's just like it's all there. It's all there. The fork, the BCH fork is memed is Pepe'd a few times. The Ethereum debates, the early Vitalik, hate and love. It's all documented in there. I mean, it's all in there. And then there's a bunch of art. There's a bunch of like legitimately brilliant art from Easy B and Hansel and Zed and like Da Vinci 9, a couple other these like guys that became legit, and Indelible Trade and Skrilla, and like there's just all these, there's just, the set is just like everything, and it's crowdsourced, and it's like there was no company, there's no Larva Labs, there was no reason why it had to happen. And it just, all of us saw it doing it, and it was like that time on the playground. It was that pure, when like I'm down bad, I'm obviously just looking at and it's like, oh well shit, of course I'll make a Pepe. This is what chance to get in the Rare Pepe. Oh fuck yeah. Like I'm in, yeah, burn the $20 of Bitcoin. Great. Yeah, get the XCP. Let's go. Like we have to be, we gotta get in here. I gotta, this is important, honey. I didn't even spell the asset name right. Basoda Popinski, if you look on the card, it's Pepe,
Yeah.
there's an I in there.
Right.
And the actual asset name is not that. It's different. I don't even, and then my buddy Pat Cruz brought it up to me this year. I didn't even know that till this year. And so the set's like that. The set's got Easter eggs everywhere. It's made by crazy people like me, and other lovable characters for no reason, for no incentive at the beginning. You would make one, and then you get $7. You'd sell 15 of them, and Crypto Chainer would buy one. You get $7. Like what are you doing? What were you doing?
Yeah, you are right. That they kind of document everything that's happened. So I actually own a few of the Rare Pepes. I actually bought 2 from you. It was actually
Ring the register,
card,
baby.
Yeah, shitcoin card, and I think the Pepe Nader, the Terminator one. So, but my favorite one, obviously, besides probably the Nakamoto, my favorite one is the Fork Wars. So that kind of tells the story of Bitcoin, BCH, and they had their fork war. So that's my favorite one. I'm just not going to sell that one. I'm probably going to print it out, hang it up on my wall at some point. So that's definitely my favorite one. Last question on the Pepes. What do you see the future of? Oh, let's see that real quick.
Oh yeah. You want to know what I see the future? This is what I see in the future. I see this becoming the world reserve currency right here.
Pepe Cat.
That's it. So I think that the appreciation for Pepes will deepen as crypto deepens, as crypto becomes more accepted, used in daily life, becomes just a more part of the reality that everybody accepts and understands. I think Pepe's. I think this is the rare item. This is the rare documentation of it. This is the fun piece of art. I mean, it's all that. So I mean, I believe that if crypto continues to be popular, I think Pepes will continue to be popular. If NFTs are popular, I think Pepes will be popular. I mean, where does it go in the future? I mean, if all of a sudden my illiquid frog card investments all go to zero or close to zero, is anybody going to sit there shocked in the future and be like, wow, I can't believe he missed pictures of frogs. Like, how did it go wrong? No, I mean, no one's gonna, oh, he says this monkey picture in his MetaMask is worth 300,000 because it's gold. I mean, but at the same time, you can't ignore what's happening. You can't ignore the IP surrounding the Bored Apes. People are gobbling it up. There's a club in Miami that wants to flex theirs. People want to take their CryptoPunk, put it as their Twitter profile. People want to say, look, I own some expensive pixels. I mean, I look at the autoglyph stuff. I look at the chromey squiggles. I look at the fidenzas. There's a couple of fidenzas that I look at and I'm like, motherfuck, that is amazing. I would love to have that on my wall. I think it's a little weird just sitting in the MetaMask. I think we'll build things for NFTs. Everybody wants to flex their NFTs. That's the point of it. They want to say, look at my Nakamoto card. That is a motherfucking piece of blockchain history, provably so that I own it, and I could do whatever I want. I can burn it. Somebody burned one.
Yeah, I
I
saw
don't know if
that.
you saw that. 299 club now, not
Yeah.
300 anymore. And so, I mean, but people will figure out over time, as this develops, there will be harder and harder ways to flex that. I don't know if you see the guy Gambit that makes the little chains out of, like, I think it's an Apple Watch.
Yeah, those are
Mr.
amazing,
Crypto
actually.
Punk. Love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not me. I'm a no, nothing touches but cotton or silk kind of spin. But I don't. But it's awesome. I love it. I'd love to shoot a rap. I'd love to buy it to shoot a rap video. I hope that I have to shoot a rap video one day, because then it's a brilliant piece.
I have to ask, and the reason why I have to ask is because I do want to acquire one at some point. Do you think, sincerely believe, that Nakamoto's will hit $1 million floor at some point?
It's a great question. I mean, as a guy that has two of them right now, looking to sell one, I'm going to take one for a ride, but taking two for the ride doesn't.
I offered
seems a little ridiculous.
I offered 100,000. I got shot down.
It's what a time where a guy has two of them, another guy wants to give him 100 ball for one, and I will not sell my fraud picture to you, sir. Oh, don't play. I really hope they do hit $1 million, because I'm playing this back in the future might be a little painful if they go down. But I mean, it's a weird, it's will they? I don't know. I mean, am I hoping? Yes. Could I see it? Yes. I mean, would I be frantically trying to sell it if I didn't think there was some equity in hitting $1 million, in the near future? Yes. Does it have to? I mean, is that what is it? What would that market cap it out of 300 million or 299?
Yeah.
What's a punk cap? It's punk caps is in the billions. Ape cap in the billions. Is that right?
I think it still is.
The set's 1,700 cards long too, but the one card is special. That's the special. That's the special. That's the number one. That's the one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't even. I don't know. It's highly polarized. The price of that thing is highly polarized. We can agree there.
For sure. And then there was a lot of people that are holding, quite a few of them. So I think they're in good hands though. So like I actually met up with Sean Leary at Bitcoin Miami.
Yep.
So he was kind of telling me a bit more about Pepe's. I knew a little bit, but you guys are like the OGs or whatever, but really cool. So I actually got Sean, I had to talk him into it kind of. I actually got him to make me a physical. He did send me the digital also on Counterparty, but he made me a physical piece. So from afar, it's the it's the Nakamoto face. And as you walk closer and closer, it has every single Pepe that was ever made. So really, really cool. I actually loaned that out to a spot in New York City, so it's actually hanging on the wall. So really cool. I'm going to keep that one forever. So
big fan of Sean's work. An original Rare Pepe scientist. All respects. I have his first what's it called? Photo collage. There's some word for it. I don't think that's it. Where it's just Pepe, but made out of every Rare Pepe, and it's one of my favorite. It hangs in my house. I mean, I ain't giving that one away. That one's wife and I love that one too much.
I did want to kind of switch topics, if that's all right. You mentioned earlier Roger Ver, and he kind of helped you out when you were going through your legal stuff. You and Roger are good friends. I am someone who I do think he is a bit misunderstood and a little bit hated too much. I do see some people's points where he kind of gave that Mount Gox a solvent type of thing. So that obviously got him in the hot seat and everything. Can you give us a little bit about you guys' relationship? How did that start? Where it's at now? Just a little thoughts on Roger, if you don't mind.
The relationship, well, we were walking down the beach hand in hand. No, I mean, he's a friend. Like I remember him in the Money 2012 conference. Money 2020. I forget what it's called. there was one of the first like Bitcoin conferences. It's not a Bitcoin conference. It was like early 2012 that like I think it was some sort of a money something conference, and there's like 3 booths set up that are Bitcoin. And to us, that was like, okay, fuck, it's like this is there's a conference, and it was in
Right.
Vegas, and I lived in Vegas at the time, and you know, we were fucking about playing Open Face, or we were about to, and I just, you know, that's where I met him, and you know, about 10 years ago, and then just I remember meeting him, Eric Voorhees, and just like, and I think the BitPay guy, and probably probably better to get a name there, but I can't place it right now. But it was like we had all interacted on Bitcoin Talk and the early forum. And so when you met these people in person, you sort of knew where they stood. And there was a couple people that just felt, you know, that I felt were like very similar to me in the sense that like of ideology and of like what they wanted to do with Bitcoin. It's so new. Why do they think it'll, why we think it could work? I don't know. It's just a couple people, and he was one of them, and Voorhees was one of them, and there's just like these people that are like they want to be on. You could tell they were going to be very entrepreneurial with it. You could tell they were going to be way better than me, just in what they were going to do with it. And and I don't know. And so you know, over the years, you know, we had you know just eventually like in really the past maybe 4 or 5 years, yeah, we had done a few things together. We had just you know, these he's insanely successful and you know, invested in just about everything. And everybody knows the online statements that he's made over the last couple of years, and especially, you know, Bitcoin fork time, when BCH and Bitcoin forked, you know, he was, you know, he felt very passionately and very strongly about big blocks. And uh, I mean, it's kind of interesting where now that it's run for so many years, Bitcoin obviously retained the brand that everybody, you know, the market cap, the brand, the uses, the number of wallets. Like by all metrics, Bitcoin is, you know, is the one. Ethereum has certainly made its challenge as essentially number two currency. You know, I don't know, with NFTs and like with everything that happens in the DeFi and with everything that happens on the ETH chain, you know, that has become, you know, a competitor. BCH sits in a spot, what, 20 something, mid 20s down the coin market cap or something now. And I mean, you know, fees in the Bitcoin network have dropped. You know, that doesn't mean that they might not go back up again. But for now, you know, it is almost, you know, Rogers looked at as like, you know, sort of this like villain figure throughout the internet. The Gox thing, the promotion of essentially, you know, it's tough to say that the BCH is the losing chain because there's so many chains and so many of them still trade with like enough, like there's enough daily volume on Bitcoin Cash that like that's a real currency. If you had, you know, 1 million of it right now, you could get USDT, for instance, if like, you know, you hated it, but you had $1 million worth of it. I mean, it's a real thing. You know, that's a real crypto. You know, it's like a chain link. I mean, it's like a real, it's something that most people don't think about
Yeah, I
and don't
agree.
use, but it works. And like, and it's sort of like that experiment still sort of goes on. Like, can you just open the blockchain up as big as, you know, can you just, okay, everybody pile it on. And even BSV, which, you know, born from like probably political ideology that not many people are going to be able to get behind, or that, you know, with leaders that most people, you know, don't like,
Right.
but it's still one of those other experiments. You can look at it from a technical perspective and say, all right, are they really trying to jam all the weather data into a chain? Like, is that breaking things? You know, does 32 gig blocks just start to break shit? Like, and or doesn't it? Or can computers handle it? I don't know. It's a great experiment to run. And I think Roger believing it, that that was the right way forward for humanity. I think the most people misunderstand him in the sense that he's saying what he truly believes is the best thing for humanity, and will dig in and digs in the heels. He doesn't say it because he wants to enrich himself, which is, I hear that all the time. I see that all the time. They're like, oh, the only reason why he promoted this was because he wanted to get rich. Like, he was rich before that. And you don't even need to believe me or believe, or you could just look. I mean, there's breadcrumbs. There's public breadcrumbs where you can, you know, see ownerships in companies and entities and things, and just, and so you can start doing some back of the envelope arithmetic. And you know, there's It's just he doesn't need it. He
Right.
really believed it. He really, really believed it, and that's why he went so hard. And I think that the reputational damage is not irreparable, but it's pretty bad, and I understand why people think they as they do about him. But if they knew the real guy in there, if they sat down and had the chat with him, I think that a lot of people would change their minds. Yet the public persona is, essentially the damage is done. The internet doesn't forget. They'll just replay that Gox clip over and over, and they'll replay the one time he flicked off the guy
Right.
that I've somehow that's so many, it's he's done a lot of meme worthy things, and those things they just stick.
Right.
And if people knew the real dude, they would they would there was a lot of minds would change if they knew the real person there behind that.
Yeah. What does Bryan Micon think about Bitcoin? Do you think that it's kind of held true to what it's supposed to be, or are you kind of in the camp that like we did need like a BCH at some point or something like that? Because now, I mean, we all got into this. We were kind of anti-government, things like that. Like, I kind of feel in a way that Monero is kind of what Bitcoin should have been, or
Sure,
something like that. And
sure,
at this point,
valid.
I hate to say it, at this point, Bitcoin, and I am a big Bitcoin holder and believer, but it's almost just like a bank wire. I mean, it's the privacy aspect is pretty much gone. I don't know. What are your kind of thoughts on that?
That's a good. Those are. I really. That's very well said. I mean, I don't think it's quite that. I don't think it's quite so gloomy. I think maybe it'd be more like Bitcoin's like a bank wire. Wow, we did it. Like it's wow. Can you imagine that? A bank wire they can't tell you no for. And I agree with you in the sense that what you said about Monero, I think is really interesting, because when I think most people in 2011 and 12, not so much now where there's really good information, but when somebody first found Bitcoin back then, they almost would assume that it was like Monero. They almost assumed like, well, of course you would shield, who sent it and what. And then, there's a bit of a learning curve at the beginning. I mean, I think Silk Road was a big wake up call for a lot of people that were just sort of using it willy nilly, brand new thing. A lot of weed guys in Bitcoin at the beginning. I guess I don't
Mhm.
know. A lot of people don't like to say it. A lot of people don't like to reference Silk Road as bootstrapping the first couple 100,000 initial users, but that's what happened.
For sure.
And and we should free Ross. And that early time, people thought, okay, I was just I'm protected. I'm using Bitcoin. And then you're like, no, actually, it attaches your IP to that thing. Like, maybe you want to obfuscate some shit, and maybe you want to use it in a different address every time if you don't want your business known
Right.
publicly. After you buy Bitcoin from a guy that and that he knows what your address is now because you had to give it to him. And so you're right in the sense that, I mean, I was a big supporter of BCH, and I thought big blocks, and we didn't call it BCH. And I think that 2017 split, if there was and there may never be a really good deep dive done into it. Actually, there probably, I don't know, that one was too hot for TV. I think maybe somebody will circle back and really tell the story well, because with just one or two little branding changes, you might have been calling the BCH chain Bitcoin. Like this had never been done before, really. This was so brand new that if enough people just said, "Hey, this is the chain that we call Bitcoin," then that's what would have been Bitcoin. And it
Right.
and that was, a lot of people also don't realize that was a razor thin discussion. Like it very much divided the community. I think a lot of people towards the end of that decided, okay, let's just go with the majority, even if it wasn't what I wanted to. I'm still gonna go with what, if 70% said this, okay, I'm going to go with the 70%. And then there were those that dug in that said, no, 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 this is going to be a big problem. The fees are going to get out of control. We must be able to do more on chain. The block needs to be bigger. To me, that debate was always like, of course the block should be bigger. There's an old Satoshi quote in there about saying like, okay, the 1 meg was just sort of arbitrary. We'll raise it when it's anti-spam for right now, but we'll make economic disincentives later, and we'll take that. Essentially says that it should be removed or looked at or whatever. And then to this day, the Bitcoin chain has the 1 meg cap imposed. You can nitpick that with the SegWit, and maybe it's 1.4, 1.6 or something, but essentially it's still, kind of cucked. I mean, to some degree.
I know that this probably isn't a popular opinion, especially if I brought it up to some Bitcoin maxis, but I'm kind of in the camp that Bitcoin actually needs like a little bit of inflation, like maybe even just like 1% or something like that. I know, I get these faces, right? I'm more worried about, I know. I don't know if you
Shut this
listen
shit
to,
down. Fuck it. No.
no, no. So here's my kind of thinking. Maybe I'm just insane.
Please,
And I know,
please.
the 21 million thing is it's a big thing. It's one of the main things. That there is no inflation. We have this set number, but I wouldn't say I'm kind of worried. But I do think about, if we say that like maybe 15, 20% of the coins are just lost forever, something like that. And then over the next 10 years, you have people like Sam maybe, or CZ, or Michael Saylor. These people are going to end up having like 200,000 coins or something like that. Do you ever worry that like, there are just 4, 5, 6 people that are going to be holding potentially 10% of the supply or something like that? And I don't know. I just kind of feel like even just something like 1% inflation or something like that down the road, like, I don't know, it just might make it a little better. I'm not sure. I get a little worried when we have these major players that just have so much. And when you
Sure.
take into account, I think we have around 19.5 million Bitcoin out there right now. Let's say 15% of those are gone. So we have 16, 17 million floating around. And pretty soon we're going to have people that are holding 150,000, 200,000 coins. Like, I don't know. Is that worrisome to you at all?
I mean, to me, no, in the sense that, this is one, it's sort of moved from an experiment to like it's sort of gaining a foothold as an asset class. And there's always, the various incentives to save or spend. I mean, I think that the way that human nature is, the way Bitcoin's designed to essentially, I think the genius of Bitcoin is the social aspect of it, the way that it incentivizes miners with money to add the network. I mean, so if CZ ends up with a couple 100,000 coins, and and Binance is a super strong is the major, is the JP Morgan mixed with some, mixed with the Goldman Sachs, mixed with the Bank of America. Is that better than the current banking overlords that run your life today? I guess I think I would rather have Binance financially rule over me than the Fed and Bank of America and Wells Fargo and Jamie Dimon. I mean, I guess. I mean, I also believe that over time, I've never heard the inflation. It's very interesting. The inflation for a more even distribution of wealth. It's inflation for the sake of diluting CZ. Never heard that one before.
Well, yeah,
Sort of instantly reject it.
yeah, I'll send you a really good thing that I read about it after we finish up. But by the way, I'm not like for that position. It's just very
Sure.
interesting thought to me.
I
One of
think
the
it. I
things that I do love about Bitcoin is there's only fucking 21 million of them ever, and
Sure.
you need to get as many of them as you fucking can. Like
Sure.
that's just how it
And
is. So that is one of the big things for me. But it was a little interesting, and I just thought like, at some point there could be some players in the game that could really like fuck with things. They're just gonna have
for
so much.
sure. Do you remember, I mean, I love it that you said I'm not for this, but I wanted to bring it up because early Bitcoin talk, 2011, 12, 13, it was really acceptable and encouraged to bring up ideas and then to discuss them. And maybe they're bad ideas, but throw them out
Yeah,
there. And then if in the marketplace of ideas, if you throw one out and everybody shits on it, well, we could, then now, okay, now we can sort of put that to bed and move on. By the same token, I think it's important to say those things, to challenge the sincerely held beliefs here and see if you can defend it, logically. See if you still want to defend that position, or and not take that religious attitude of, okay, we can't talk about it. Oh, no, 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 we can't talk about a bigger block. No, let's talk about it. It's okay if it's wrong.
yeah,
If it's okay if we try it and that chain fails, or if it's okay if that chain, if all of a sudden it looks like, okay, look, there's some advantages here, and it doesn't seem to have the drawbacks that we originally thought. We have to approach it like scientists. We did in the early days, and there's absolutely a religious fervor around many different chains, to many different dues of the Bitcoin maxis. There's the BCH group, which is a little bit smaller than than it had been in the past. There's the there's the ETH maxi. There's just like I think the Chainlink army has mostly been defeated. The XRP army is long dead and buried. There's these strange religious like groups that come up, and I mean, I know that a lot of people that if you've ever touched BCH or worked with it or promoted it or sent it or tried to play with it, they're like, oh, this guy's a Bcasher, and you're like, well, yeah, I mean, I use it, yeah, I mean, it made sense here, like, I tried to roll out a payment system for it here, to see if we could want to make sure that it's a low cost coin. We're experimenting. We're going to see if we could roll this out in a small Caribbean country. I mean, that's a cool experiment.
For sure.
Even if it's not the coin you like. If somebody did that with Dash, I'd be like, wow, that's cool. Let's see if it works. I would like to go there and try to use Dash. Like, do all the merchants take it? Does everybody hate it? Do the local people trade it for fiat in and out, or they just won't touch it and it's a dumb thing? Like, I mean, these are all experiments. El Salvador is running one with the beloved Bitcoin. It doesn't look like it's going well, in my opinion. It just looks like when a government forces you to use crypto. I'm happy it's happening though too, because we get to run another something in the marketplace. This time a dictator, a Latin American dictator. It made Bitcoin legal tender. I mean, this is an awesome experiment to run.
Right.
I'm not going to do things like what Samson Mao does and try to align himself with this dictator. I don't know if this is the one, everybody. I know everybody's on board with El Salvador. I mean, I would love to see it run clean also.
Yeah.
But the dictator that doesn't like abortions, like telling everybody they have to do it, I don't know if that's the one.
I'm in the camp. I'm in the camp with you. I mean, I was at Bitcoin Miami when Jack Mallers made the announcement about El Salvador. Very cool. I didn't know much about the situation with El Salvador and him being a dictator, until I Googled, and I do find it kind of weird. Like, it's great that it's happening. It's a cool experiment. I thought a long time ago that the game theory would be that nations would start using Bitcoin. They would acquire it. I believe that oil and gas will start being settled with Bitcoin and things like that. We see Russia's already talking about it as of late, like a day or two ago. But I do agree, it feels a little cultish and weird where like people are playing up this dictator like some pop star, like he's Jay-Z or something like that. It's just weird to me. I get it. They're doing it for I get it that they're doing it to try and get him on a podcast or something, but like, bro, he's not a cool guy. Like,
I got this feeling. You ever get the feeling in your stomach when you meet somebody and like they start talking shit about their mom or something? I don't know. Just like when you just like get like that bad feeling, you're like, like whenever I get that feeling, that's been like a great indicator. It's like almost always right. And like when they see this dude, you remember they did like the last year they do the fireworks. He's on stage, he's rocking like a half a Steve Jobs thing. And he's like, let me bring up the Blockstream guys. They're like, we're launching $1 billion bond. Let's get back by Bitcoin. It's got these fucking terms. And like, I'm just like, I remember just like, kind of like, I got that feeling. I was like, you got a politician promising you something that you want,
right? That you
like every time this has happened in the past, it's ended in disaster, like 100%, no wins yet. So I get that feeling, and I do wish him the best. I wish I sit in a small Caribbean island nation right now, and with strong desires to just keep building crypto services here and see if it becomes that little hotbed. That's one of the main directives that I want to do. Also developing some swim software and all sorts of other strange, and Rare Pepe gallery curation, and just but in the multi-faceted building game that I play here, I think building crypto services in non-USA places in second and third world countries, I think is where they could benefit from it most. A lot of people here are sending remittances and paying just huge fees to do it with fiat. And these are day workers that are in my opinion, just from an ethical perspective, the last people you should ever tax in society. These are the absolute last people. The lowest earners, I think, should pay the least fees. And you should not, and the predatory practices of traditional remittance facilitators all over the world are just, it's like they take that 15% vig, and they should be sending that money for pennies. It should just be
Right.
pennies to move it from one island to the next. In the Caribbean, a lot of people send a worker somewhere. Somebody from the family goes on works and they send the money back. Dominican Republic isn't as well off as Antigua. And so so you'll see workers from the Dominican Republic come over here just trying to get jobs, just trying to scrape up some funds, trying to send it back home. And that's, that's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking that that they have to do that and leave their families, and two, that somebody's going to come along and say, let me help you get that money back. I'm going to charge a predatory fee on you, and you have to use me.
Yeah,
That's why that's why I got into crypto, is because let's level that fucking playing field. Let's stop playing a rigged game.
Yeah. I've always kind of told people, to me, things like Bitcoin, it's way more important to the rest of the world than it is to America. It's way more important to these African countries, these South American, these really poor countries. And once I was kind of explaining actually to my mom, like, how the remittances work and things like that, and why this is so important, so I think it's a bit more important to these poor nations, developing countries, than it is to America, or something like that.
Absolutely. We've seen firsthand here just a handful of the Caribbean islands specifically are also beholden to American banks, to intermediary banking relationships, to find almost the entire landscape here. And a lot of times your bank just tells you no, way more than in the U.S. When you say, "Hi, I'd like to wire 5,000 to this person," and oftentimes it's it's family member, maybe it's for medical care, maybe it's to float them the 2 months for the rent and the essentials for the household. And a lot of times the Caribbean bank will just look at you right in the face and say, "Nope, sorry." You're like, "Well, but it's my money here," and you're like, "Nope, we're not going to send it. It doesn't pass our risk profile. Why are you sending it?" Or you'll answer like, you'll get broken down like a criminal to be able to pay a fee and send your money, and just mind-bogglingly angering to most people.
Yeah, for sure. I consider you, from a lot of the tweets and things like that, you're pretty savvy with the technology. I think you really understand crypto and things like that. What are you bullish and bearish on, I guess, for the upcoming possible bear market and next bull cycle? Like, what do you see fading out? What do you think could be a good narrative? Something like that.
I would, if we're going to just throw out a bunch of predictions here. I mean, I will be if let's say there is a 1 to 2 year bear market or sideways market, I will be building things. I will be building crypto solutions in the Caribbean. I will be building art stuff probably surrounding Pepe's, maybe other stuff. Crypto art is just something that I love to collect, sell, buy, trade. And I will be, there are some projects that I think are cool. I think Decentraland is cool. I mean, I'd had land in there long before I had something to do with it. And the moment I had something to do with it, found this awesome dude that was going to, I think, Spanish or Portuguese architecture school, a guy named Rizk, Rizk something. And he built the Rare Pepe gallery. I contracted a guy that had been building 3D stuff in Decentraland since, beta. And just so I had something. Now that all of a sudden I had something to do. I have a gallery in there that you can click and purchase what I personally curated Pepe's, which I think then it goes to the OpenSea, it goes to the Rare Pepe dealer OpenSea store. There's now a gallery, and it's like, that was, to me, super cool to mimic the thing that happens in real life for the digital art that I thought was much cooler, and to actually, like, to me, that's something super fun.
Right.
And like, to be able to build that in the bear, I think you'll see more of that. I think NFTs have become so hot, people love them so much. I think that they will start to morph. I know you're looking for picks. I think this one's gonna die, this one's gonna moon, this one's gonna tank. But really, I just see NFTs becoming things like movie tickets, like festival tickets.
Yeah, I agree.
Like Life is Beautiful will happen in Vegas pretty soon. And then, right now there's like an RFID wristband but in the future, it seems like that's just going to be an NFT, and that'll also be something that you'll save, that you can pass down to your kid if you want, and say, look, here's my old tickets. Here's all the festivals. Here's the wallet that holds all the festival, stuff. And you might not even call it a wallet. It might be like, I mean, the stuff might mature to the point where it's just like, back in the day, you used to like, you make a little, you pin the ticket onto the cork board or something. Like it's gonna be seamless. And NFTs could be votes. They could be, tickets are the most common things that I think it's the thing that makes the most sense. I mean, everybody likes to trustlessly sell a seat to a sporting event. Row 4, seat 2, section 223. The buyer always wants to make sure it's valid. The seller always wants to make sure they get paid. This is like an exact use case for an NFT. Like everyone's different. Everyone's for every seat.
For sure.
It's like a perfect exact use case. Guaranteed that it's the right one. Guaranteed that the money gets paid if you want to sell it. It just makes total sense. So I think things like that will happen in the bear market. People will build. And then from the investment standpoint, I don't really trade. I know people, that have traditional incomes during the bear market. If you stack, that's always, and you're right. If the asset increases, well, guess what? You've stacked in the bear. That's when you needed to do it to really get those asymmetrical returns. I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I've been for 10 years. I've seen these cycles. This is like third or fourth or something. Like, I mean, and when everyone's all wrecked and the price of Bitcoin is 20,000, yes, great.
I agree.
I'll be building.
Yeah, and definitely want to thank you for your time. I want to wrap it up with one last thing, though. We were talking about kind of the rat race earlier, things like that. People that are stuck in the grind. What is some kind of life advice you might want to give? I think the majority of the people that listen to these podcasts and the kind of crypto Twitter degens are going to be like, 18 to 25 years old. Maybe they got 100K, 200K, but they haven't got that retirement money yet. What's some kind of life advice on these guys, like how to maneuver, how to manage and not blow it, I guess, and kind of be able to just live free and go live by the beach and surf all day or do whatever the fuck they want.
That's great. That's a good one to end on. You're not going to get there as a salaried employee most times. I mean, if you are, you need a job too if you have nothing. And so if you have very little savings, then you need that income. And then as soon as you start getting that income, you need to figure out how to get better income, and then how to get income while you sleep. Like Buffett said, if you don't get paid while you sleep, you work till you die. So most important thing is to find that grind. That grind is a lot. It does not have to be crypto, although I would look for crypto. The laundromat, the $50,000 laundromat that just turns over like $3K a month. You hear about, there's so many ways to get it, no one's going to get it for you. No one is going to knock on the door and say, hey, here's how you get it. Sign up here, click a button. It'll be easy. It will not be easy. It'll be very difficult. You must take a risk. I believe it was the Afro Man that said, damn, take bravery to escape modern day slavery. And on his track, fuck the corporate world. That's a good track.
That's a good one. Yeah.
But he's right. You're not going to get it. You're not going to escape by going to work Monday through Friday and cashing a $25 an hour paycheck every two. That is not a winning strategy, unfortunately, right now. That is a work till you die strategy. And so it does take that bravery. It does take the bravery to deny yourself current pleasures, to stack up some money, to bet it all. If it's your first play on either a business, an investment, don't lie to yourself. There's a lot of poker players out there. I was probably one of them at one point, thinking like, oh man, I'm playing great. Because I was in 05 and 06 and everybody was awful. But then maybe by 2010, 11, then all of a sudden there's a lot of solver. Maybe the game has gotten harder.
Right.
Maybe everybody's a little bit more studied. Maybe you're not playing as, so I would say be honest, keep records. When you make your plays, be very, very honest with yourself. I think the degen mind somehow convince you to bet sports for 4 years when you're a loser, thinking that you're a winner. This is how it happens. So be honest with yourself. Keep your records. Look at them. You have to. I just did my taxes with my wife. Just just going through them, looking at the online poker deposits during these online World Series, and they go, I don't know if I can keep fighting. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just flushing it here. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
So always be honest with yourself. So I think that's the most important one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, I've actually had a blast. I'd love to keep in touch with you. I'll definitely send you the thing about the little Bitcoin inflation. I think you'd be interested in reading about that.
I will take a look.
Yeah, it's hard to bring up. The maxis are pretty tough these days.
They're gonna. I almost turned it off. I almost turned off the stream as soon as you said. That was my knee-jerk reaction. It was just nope. Fuck this,
Yeah,
end it.
for sure. But yeah, man, I really appreciate your time. We'd actually love to have you back on in the future. And yeah, if you're ever back out there for the series or something, I usually go every summer. Love to grab dinner or something like that.
You get to 1,000 subs, I'm coming back.
Absolutely, yeah, we'd love to have you back. Well, man, we appreciate your time. We will put up all the links and everything for your Decentraland gallery, everything like that. So appreciate it, man. Thanks for giving us your time. Everybody, go buy some Soda Popinskis.
You don't know. I don't have many so you're gonna have to wait for the modern art disasters. Don't buy this. Don't even buy this. You can't. I'm not even gonna sell it to you anymore. You know what? These are mine.
I do want to sign one though. By the way, I know there are some signed ones.
There are some signed sodas out there. I invented the subasset.signature.
Yeah.
Skrilla will tell you. I'm gonna get you signed. I'm gonna get you signed soda. I'm gonna get you.
Oh, appreciate it. Yeah. Don't mind paying for it though. But yeah, thanks for giving us your time and thanks everybody.
Not taking your money. Nope.
Thanks. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you for the next episode, and thanks again, buddy.
Peace.
Take care.
Now, here's a word about our sponsor. Alpha DAO is an exclusive group of some of the top builders and founders in Web3 and all of crypto. The Alpha House is based in New York City, in the heart of Manhattan, and hosts weekly mixers where you can get exclusive access to the best networking in the space. Members also get exclusive access to deal flow, priority access to host events at the Alpha House, and so much more. Memberships are based on an interview process. So if you think you have what it takes, check out www.meetalpha.org and get in contact with us to schedule an interview.